Stop me if you've heard this one before, okay? You're at a play group with your kids and someone decides to share their thoughts on the way you're raising your child. From breastfeeding to bedtime. How do you deal with that mountain of well-meaning advice from other parents? Here to offer their thoughts, and I love this topic, are the members of today's parenting panel, co-founder of Mabel's Labels and mother of 6, Julie Cole, the founder of the Multiple Mayhem Mama blog and mom of 4, Samantha Kemp-Jackson, and editor-in-chief of Canadian Living magazine and mom of 3, Jess Watson. Ladies, it's great to have you here, specifically on this topic. And Julie, I want to start with you, mother of 6, and that's where a lot of the crap, and I will call it crap, that you hear comes in.
Sure, I think that it's very common for people to comment on the size of your family and how many children they think you should have. And that's probably where I've copped the most criticism or feedback. But you know what, I don't know, there's a couple of things I find. First off, I feel like if I'm being judged, I like to just shut it down.
How do you shut it down?
I think there's an appropriate high road you can take, and I just say, you know what, thanks for your feedback and your concern, but I'm actually the best qualified to make this decision for my family about my uterus.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time, the feedback is done in a mean-spirited way. I'm not sure where it comes from. I mean, it's one thing when it comes from your family and those that love you. It's quite another when it comes from people on the outside. I'm not so sure it comes from a good place. I don't know.
Look,
I don't know about that.
I had an interesting one this week. A friend of mine had posted a picture of her child who fell asleep in a really strange place. And it was adorable and cute. And she put it on her Facebook. And then everybody's saying, oh, well, that's so cute. And then somebody chimed in and said, oh, about the thumb sucking. And, you know, she
This is the kind of thing that I mean.
She shut it down. She said not appropriate, not appreciated, and not in this context.
Samantha, you say that parenting, there's this mob mentality now, that it's a contact sport. Explain what you mean. I love that you said that.
It is a contact sport, and I feel like it's a mob mentality in that people are not supporting each other as parents.
And that's the big question. Why aren't we just supporting each other?
And I've gone through it too. I mean, I have 4 kids. My kids are very diverse in age. The oldest is 31, the last 2 are 7. And so people look at me like I'm some kind of a freak. And they also ask me questions about, well, how old were you and what are you doing? And there's a lot of judgment there. And I'm with Julie. I shut it right down because nobody has the right to judge you as a parent. You know your child best. You know what's best for your family. And there's no reason to put up with it.
And Jess says there's so much drama when it comes to stuff like this. You liken it to high school.
Yeah, I really felt that when I had kids, it felt like the same peer pressure that I had in high school when I was 14 years old. It was the same, do you have the right stroller? Are you doing the right thing? It felt really similar to, you know, having those mean girls judge you in the locker room or in the high school basement. Yeah.
And speaking of stuff like that, the right stroller, the right clothing, the right bed, the right this and that. I mean, people want to know where you're shopping. Is it the right place? These kids grow up.
And
right?
they don't understand.
They don't need half the stuff we think they need, and that people are pressuring us to buy. They need love.
We need to own that as well. I mean, if you're feeling that pressure, if you're taking that on, you need to take a little look at yourself as well. You know, like I always say, I gave up caring what people think 4 kids ago.
You have to,
right?
You have to. And there's financial reasons why people might not be able to get that right stroller or those right clothes. So you have no right to ask because you're putting somebody on the spot. So I say to Julie, as Julie said, shut it down and also put it back on them and say, you know, oh, that's an interesting question. Why do you ask?
Yeah.
Put it back on them.
Yeah, and Jess, I mean, you have to look at why people ask these questions, but you also have to look at the gumption there. I honestly, I don't know that I would have the gumption to say to somebody, well, is that the right stroller? Or what do you mean you didn't breastfeed? Where does that come from? Where does that kind of thing come from?
I think it comes from their own insecurity. I think that's what it represents. I think that people are asking questions and it's a reflection of them and the insecurities they have about them as parents.
I think it's also important for us to make sure that we are not doing the judging. I think everybody has to, you know, have a look in the house of mirrors and say, look, am I myself being judgy? And am I, you know, maybe it's time to mind my own business. And if everybody does that, it's going to be a lot easier to support each other through this really tricky journey of parenthood.
It's hard enough being a parent. You don't need the outside, you know.
And I don't want to lose the fact that I have found a lot of support from other parents as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know? There is support out there.
But
when this other stuff comes, it comes fast and furious.
It sure does, yeah.
And I think social media also adds to that as well, because people think that they can just kind of jump in, like you said with your friend with the Facebook. People think they have the right to tell you something really negative about your child, and it's just not cool.
Yeah, it's almost like on social media, it's so easy just to jump in there without even thinking about it. Like your friend with the thumb sucking. You can make those judgments and you don't really feel how much impact they might have on the person on the receiving end.
And that's social media generally, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you can be a little bit anonymous. You can be a little bit, you know, that faceless sort of, people get very brave
Yes.
with their judgments
Yeah.
on social media, that's for sure. And I think also just the landscape of parenting has changed so much. You know, there's so many people blogging, writing about it, that everybody's feeling like they're a bit of an expert on it. And they can chime in on it.
There's a lot to learn from that, though.
Yeah.
I need the blogs and everything else.
Absolutely.
If you're sharing, that part works. It's the other stuff that doesn't, and it's meandering around what can be a very tricky thing, and knowing what's good and take the good, but with the good comes the bad.
That's right. And some of the stuff is well-meaning, right? Like some
Some of
people
it
are
is.
generally concerned.
And I think
Yeah.
to that point, find your tribe. So if you have a supportive group
It's a
of
good
people
point.
who are following you on social media, stay with them. The naysayers, unfriend them.
Find your tribe. I love that. I love that. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.